All right, so when the lighting's really, really, really good, you really, really need to make a video, especially when you look really, really good and you're shaved, you've combed your hair a little while ago, and you're actually wearing like a respectable shirt and pants and shoes and the whole bit. So, I don't know. We got to make a video out of something. I know. Let's make it out of Port St. John's creeper. This plant is crazy. Look at this beautiful thing. This is Podranea ricasoliana, I believe. Anyway, it's hard to pronounce. But it's kind of, nobody really knows exactly where this plant is from originally. It's one of these plants that's been grown so long that it's very confusing as to where it started. But they thought it was Port St. John's in Africa, but they've since had argument about whether that's valid or not. I think it might have been introduced from somewhere else. But check this out. It gets even weirder. So there's a dude like Vincent Ricasoliana or something. The guy they named the plant after was like a general in France or something. He had this thing growing in his garden, like probably in the late 1800s. Some botanist saw it, and he basically described it for the first time to the world, at least to the European world, and they named it after him. But that guy actually got the plant from Brazil. So the story gets murkier and murkier and murkier as to where its native origin is. But they think they're almost certain that it started in Africa somewhere, then spread all around, and then it wasn't until semi-recently where they really started noticing the plant and for botanical purposes and describing it and all that. But in any event, it's a really, really gorgeous plant. Look at this lustrous green foliage, and the flowers are just so beautiful. They're fragrant. Let's go right now. Come on, let's do it. Oh, they're so elegantly delicate, feminine. Oh, it's like soft perfume that some beautiful woman of heavenly heavenly aura would have on her, that you would expect that someone like that to smell. It smells so good. So I'm down here at my San Diego place, and this vine is planted out front, here, there, and everywhere. And what's really interesting is it doesn't get any water up here, and it'll survive without water. It's super drought tolerant. It's also very frost tolerant. It's a tropical looking plant, but it handles temperatures down to 20 degrees, if you can believe that. A lot of the nurseries stopped growing it, however, because it tends to get a little big. Look how big this thing is. Look at this. This is their main road. We have a wall. My garden's down there. So I kind of like this really dense thicket here. But this is getting a little out of control. I've been here for 6 years. This plant's been here for much longer. But strangely, this year, the thing absolutely exploded. And I think I know what happened. We had a massive amount of rain this year, like double what you're supposed to get for the year after a really ridiculously dry 4-year drought. On top of that, so I think during the drought, this thing was just, held at bay and didn't do much. But then once the rains came, you know what the plant said? The plant said, "Time to party!" So the plant's partying right now and going crazy. It's a day in the sun. Look, it's growing way up into the jacaranda trees, way up there. And like I said, I kind of like it, but I wonder if it's just going to swallow. I'll be sleeping one night, and then all of a sudden, I'll look up, and then I'll think, "What's that?" Kind of a little tickle, and I'll have this thing like wrapped around my neck, like that, and it's covering me up, and I'm like, I should have cut that thing back. It's strangling me. What am I going to do now? And that'll be the end of me. So who thinks I should cut it back? I don't know. Let's take a poll. There's a place to put some comments. And you can see in here, this is where it's planted in these little planters. And it's got a beautiful, oh, look, somebody left me a water bottle. That's really nice of them. They must have thought I might be thirsty when I garden. But I'm going to get a close-up without going all the way back there. This beautiful rough bark. It's gorgeous. The bark looks a little bit what do you call those? The bottle brush callistemon almost. Maybe a little rougher than that. But you can imagine if this thing was like a tree. You train it into a tree. Sometimes you train bougainvillea into a tree, a big vine. And this is woody enough to do that, I believe, over time. But here it's just a big sprawling vine. But it really covers a lot of area for, we don't water anything up here. I planted some agaves. That's gingola right in there. And then this one here is variegata. So more gingola, a few others in here. So because there's no water, I don't want to, I'm trying to use as little water as possible, be a good citizen. And I'm cheap. But that's Podranea ricasoliana. And I really like this vine. But I noticed it when I was over the house there. I look up and I'm like, is the jacaranda blooming pink? No, it's not. That's the Podranea up there. And I've never seen anything like it. But the other reason, besides the fact that we got a massive amount of rain, about a month ago, I was here, and guess what happened? It was, right now it's, what's the date? It's like mid-September. So in mid-August, it's the date before September, if you were curious, guess what happened? You give up? Okay, what happened was there was a hurricane, came all the way up through Baja and hit us, and we got like 4 inches of rain in I think a day and a half. It was amazing. Everything was blowing. It was like, I came out, there's a video I have, maybe I'll link it, but all these palms were blowing like crazy, just like you see in Miami. We had 60-mile-an-hour winds. It wasn't total hurricane. It was not a hurricane by the time it got here. It was a tropical storm, but a tropical storm hadn't landed here like that since like 1936, so it was a really big deal. And it was kind of interesting. I always wonder what would happen when, if the planet warms a little bit more, San Diego is going to start getting hurricanes. But that meant a whole bunch of rain. And now all the hills around here, you can't tell from here, but it's like the hills, it's like springtime. There's germinating grass all over the place from that massive amount of rain just in a period of 36 hours. But I'm thinking that, our big rainfall over the winter, coupled with this massive dose of summer rainfall from the hurricane, is causing this plant and many others to go absolutely berserk. That's kind of the nice thing about California, is that unlike Miami, plants grow so fast. They get all that summer rainfall and it's so warm and humid there that they just grow like 3 times faster, which is great if you're trying to grow stuff to sell. But in your garden, that means you have a whole ton of work of cutting stuff back. So I'm looking around my garden, seeing stuff go crazy right now, and it's freaking me out because I think, like I said, if I'm sleeping, I got to come out here. Look, how much longer before the neighbors start freaking out? Like when half the road is taken by my plants, or just a quarter of it, like right now. But beyond that, I am afraid at night sleeping that these plants are going to swallow me up. But anyway, if you want a really good drought tolerant ground cover, this would be perfect for covering huge steep banks because it's so drought tolerant and it does such a good job of sprawling around. And maybe keep it away from your more intricate plants because it's going to want to swallow them. And I would also keep it away from your bedroom because it's going to want to swallow you there as well. And we'll see if we can catch this bee on the last little camera shot. How's that? It's all about the birds and the bees, people, and the flowers. Is he going to come out? There he goes. Happy times, happy times, happy times. Oh, I guess she's going to stay a while. There he goes. And there's Blake.